So Aintree is here. It's the first day of the Grand National Festival. Cheltenham is over and done with, but the fun hasn't stopped. And as part of our build-up here, we've got a Timeform expert alongside me, Dan Barber, to talk through the card. How are you, Dan?
Yeah, good. Looking forward to it. I don't think, to be honest, lay the card on the table, I don't think it's a great punting day. You've got several races that are either two places when you'd want an extra runner for 3, or the Red Rum's 15 runners, really you'd want 16. I think Paddy Power are the only firm that are going 4 places, so if you get on with them, then it's an absolute winner for you. So yeah, we'll plough our way through. I've had a trio of bets in different races. Let's just see how we get on.
Interesting. So straight into the first race, a tricky little novices chase really. We've got Top Notch as a short price favourite, second in the JLT, and next up in the market is Cloudy Dream, who was second in the Arkle. So which way would you go with this?
Well, they represent two pieces of very strong form, clearly. Top Notch's length second to York Hill was a cracking run, made all the better when you consider at the second last he got it all wrong, lost momentum, still managed to rally. Not only did he regain second, he was closing on York Hill, who, though I might add, I think was really idling. I mean, he sauntered to the front, didn't he? York Hill looked a different class of animal, basically, until he decided that he'd done enough on the running. And I don't think... I mean, a lot of negativity was raised about the Arkle because the Edtior was under pressure when Charbel fell. They were still in a bit of a bunch. I don't share the negativity, really. I think Cloudy Dream are an absolute storm. The distance that him and the winner Edtior put between themselves and the third was pretty staggering, really, on the space of the running alone. It was like an extra 9 lengths and 15 lengths. It was I mean, Edtior was only a length ahead of the third at the last, and has gone on to beat him by about 20 lengths. I mean, it was a remarkable performance, really. I really like Cloudy Dream, and I think at the prices he's the bet. Strong traveller, but I think 2.5 is in his favour. He's just got the look of an Aintree horse, goes well on top of the ground, or certainly ground that isn't bottomless. He's been lightly campaigned this season, probably slightly less heavily campaigned than Top Notch. There wouldn't be much in it, but Cloudy Dream's had a couple of penalty kicks along the way, and at some stage, I mean, he never looks like we're in a bad race, Top Notch, but he might just decide he's had enough. If that's the case, it makes the argument for Cloudy Dream all the more compelling, who I think has got a similar chance of form. Only £5 between them on Timeform ratings, and that includes Top Notch being given £3 extra for the mistake. So on bare form, it's only £2, and Cloudy Dream could arguably improve for the trip.
Can you give a squeak to Frodon, who's next in the market? He's been a brilliant novice this year in his lower grades.
Yeah, he's been a perfect example of what Paul Nicholls is so good at. San Benedetto from the weekend, another perfect case in point for what Nicholls does. He wins races and gets the very best out of his horses and uses them and runs them. There's no cotton wool in that stable. And Frodon, I suppose he's got to the point where these horses are almost overbet. If you miss Cheltenham, everybody says you're at such an advantage that I do think they're almost too short in the betting. For me, he's just not in the same. He doesn't have the same scope as Cloudy Dream and Top Notch. Well, he doesn't have the same scope as Cloudy Dream. He doesn't have the same level of form as Top Notch, and he probably doesn't have the same level of form as Cloudy Dream either. So I think he's up against it. Third favourite's about where he should be. He is fresh, which is an advantage. He hasn't been seen since the end of Feb, but I just don't think he's got the same ability as those two. Much like we discussed last year at Cheltenham, which of the Triumph Hurdle contenders is most likely to be a Champion Hurdle contender next year? It was Defi Desai. Which of these is going to be a Gold Cup or Ryanair candidate? It's going to be Cloudy Dream and Top Notch. I don't think it's going to be Frodon.
Okay, so Cloudy Dream to edge out Top Notch in the first race.
So
straight into the second one, and we've got a very short price favourite here in the Triumph Hurdle winner, Defi Desai. The two main ones in opposition with the 1-2 in the Fred Winter, Flying Tiger and Divine Bear. Where do you stand on that?
Well, the level of form achieved by Defi Desai, I think, is as it should be, is a class apart. But we have seen some Fred Winters where the level of performance he's taken to win that race has been as good, if not better, than has taken to win the Triumph. But I think Defi Desai is an exception, and I think he's a potentially exceptional hurdler. He's seeking to take his winning run to 8. He's not been off the bridle, really, and even at Cheltenham, he got pushed along briefly on the running. I loved how strong he was at the end, and it was hard to be impressive in that race because there were so many with a chance entering the straight, and he's essentially just blitzed them for ability, talent, speed, whatever you want to call it. So he's a clear pick in this race, and the only thing that gets him beaten is if the race comes too soon, but I don't even think he had a hard race, and probably Divine Bear and Flying Tiger had harder races in fighting out the Fred Winter. So to me, this looks like the first leg of a JP McManus hurdle stubble.
Interesting. So it'd be £1.10 on to win a Freddo 40p.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how much they are nowadays. God.
Well, 30p, but you never know. There might be a bit of tax as well.
Pretend I don't know about eating chocolate.
So from Defi Desoy into the Betway Bowl Chase, Grade 1 contest. Q Card's the favourite.
Yeah.
Obviously following the Gold Cup. What do you make of the field? There's a few in opposition. Can they stand up to Q Card, or is it all about him really?
Well, I suppose it is all about him. It's which Q Card turns up. It's like the Eminem song. Will the real Q Card please stand up? Because he's not done it half as often as he used to do. I don't think he's as dependable and reliable as he was. He's possibly dependent slightly on the mud nowadays, which he's not going to get at Aintree. You seldom get it at Aintree. And think of how well he was going this year compared to last when he crashed out at the second last. I mean, if a pole's apart, last year Brendan's taking a pull and he shot through the gap. This year he's hard under pressure and looking like he might finish out with the washing, so he wouldn't be for me. On form, you can say that 2s is a big price because, say, what he did at Ascot and what he did in the Betfair Chase would be enough to win this race 9 times out of 10. But he's had too many off days for me, and he's a veteran horse that's coming off a heavy fall. I know he bounced back last year, but even though it's a weaker race, I'm happy to pass him over at those odds.
So, if you had to have a fiver in the race, would it be Empire Dirt's the second favourite? He didn't really dazzle at Cheltenham either.
No, he didn't.
So, where would you go really in this? It's a strange race because all 7 runners seemingly have something to prove it. So, is it just a watching brief, and hope the Q Card does this one song? I
don't think it is. I think I'm going to back the 2 rags in this. I'm going to back Smad Place, and I've already backed ASO. I think it's ripe for an upset in a sense, because if Q Card doesn't run a race, I mean, Empire Dirt, whether it was the trip alone, I don't know, but he was very flat. He wasn't jumping and travelling from an early stage, and that wasn't the same horse that had scooted round the course and distance in winning the handicap, the plate the year before. It was just a very lacklustre run, and I really fancied him for the Ryanair. I thought he had a cracking chance, and I'm just glad that I didn't back him each way anti-post. I was planning to, because he only got 4th, and the horse that took 3rd was ASO. So 11-4 best price Empire of Dirt, 20-1 best price ASO. He's finished ahead of him on their only meeting, and who's to say that Empire of Dirt is going to be so much better at 3 miles compared to the effect it could have on ASO? Because ASO's had 1 run at the trip and was an excellent 4th in the Bet Bright Chase under a big weight, coming from a long way back. He basically had an impossible task, but he saw his race out really strongly. He's still a 7-year-old. He's a hard-knocking horse. I mean, he's been around for ages. He's tough, revels in the mud, etc. But he's shown the last twice that good ground isn't a problem to him, and he's just overpriced. He's too big on 2 factors. A, that he's beaten of Empire of Dirt, and B, the fact that this is a weak race and that there are reasons to believe he's going to improve for going back up to 3 miles again.
Do you think that, because he obviously put in a career best last time when finishing 3rd, do you think, so you under the impression that wasn't a fluke at all? It wasn't like under optimum conditions that he was able to run on and take
No, I know what you mean. No, for now, I wouldn't, because it's only a 7-year-old horse that has thrived on his racing all year. So there are certain horses immediately, if you see them finishing 3rd at a big price in a race like that, you're like, well, take that with a pinch of salt. If it's an exposed 10-year-old that's never been better than a useful handicapper, then yeah, you're right to question it. But this is an improving relative youngster who prior to that had shaped really well in the Bet Bright. As I say, that was his only run at 3, so the fact he's looked so well suited by 3 miles at Kempton and then has managed to improve again, dropping in trip, suggests to me he's just going the right way still, and I think back up to 3 is a really interesting runner today. I mean, he's no 20s chance. I mean, who's making Silvio Conti half the price of him? He hasn't run a race for 12 months. He looks a shadow of his former self. Again, he's probably short because he missed Cheltenham, and there's this obsession that you can't go back to back, and it is a bit of a concern in some cases, but ASO's really tough. He never seems to shirk whatever race he's had. My niggle, to be honest, is the stable have had a few run badly, basically, in recent weeks, but hopefully the bumper second they had at Carlisle yesterday is a precursor to them returning to the firing line. And
to touch on, you mentioned just quickly to touch on Smad Place, is he the force of old?
He possibly isn't, but he's not a 14-year-old, is he? I mean, what he's been capable of doing at his best in the last couple of seasons, just I thought might be enough to win him a week renewal. He'll jump well up with the pace as usual. unless they revert to front running with Bristol de Mai, which they've done it once and he was really good, and they seem to have an aversion to doing it now, so maybe they won't. It's Mad Place could have a soft lead here, so that was my angle with him.
Okay, so chance ASO and Smad Place.
Yeah, definitely. Certainly ASO.
So straight on to the Aintree Hurdle, and we've got another odds-on favourite here, and in Bouverdere, who, if Dan's right, could have a bit of a form boost if Cloudy Dream wins earlier on in the card. Obviously, champion hurdle winner. What do you make of the field in opposition? Can anything get him off the bridle?
Well, it's substandard. He's already beaten My Tent or Yours fair and square. He's more likely to be to handle. I think it's more like coping with the trip rather than being suited by the trip than My Tent or Yours, who basically didn't stay last year. The new one, you just could skim back in this horse, aren't you, nowadays? He's just a lighter form of days. That may be a bit harsh, but his only credible performance this year, and creditable performance you might say, was the win against My Tent or Yours, but he just ran the finish out of him on bad ground at Cheltenham. Everything was in his favour, nothing was in My Tent or Yours' favour. So when you're looking at the joint third favourite being Identity Thief, who's a refugee from chasing, who has been shaping as if a miss more often than not, this is so much weaker than the champion hurdle. Rashan and Old Guard, there should be a million to win a race like this. So Bouverdere runs his race, he wins.
Is the step up in trip a concern, or will he eat it?
I think he's fine with it, and I don't think he'll have to stay thoroughly to win this race anyway. He can probably win. He can probably run to about 9/10 of his rating almost, and he'll still be good enough. He's just better than them, and My Tent or Yours has already conclusively proven that he doesn't want 2.5 miles. The new one again, flat in the champion hurdle, doesn't jump great, jumps right-handed, which is never ideal. Bouverdere win, won't he?
So leg 2 of the JP treble, I'm guessing.
Boring,
yeah. Well,
I mean, you're getting paid at odds against that if they both win, and
yeah,
I think it's an odds-on shot that they both win.
Righto, so into a bit more of a competitive race now in the Fox Hunters Chase, and we've got a rematch between On the Fringe and Pasha de Polder from Cheltenham.
Yeah, the way I phrased this was, think of their overall picture. On the Fringe has had too many good days to criticise him for one bad one. I mean, he's turned up to these festivals year in, year out. He's won all 3 here, Cheltenham, Punchestown, the last 3 seasons. And yeah, he came in unstuck a bit, but he didn't. He was caught further back than ideal. Did some good late work. He's shown, as Pasha de Polder has, in fairness, that the national fences hold no terrors for him. But Pasha de Polder's ridden by Bryony Frost, who's ridden round here once and unseated, whereas Jamie Coddy's the master amateur, as we all know. 9-4 is a big price to me. Consider the price he was at Cheltenham, and Balna will set it up. I think he'll be spot on for this, and I think he'll resume winning ways quickly.
Is age a concern? 12 years old?
Well, maybe he has slipped slightly, but he's had the better of Pasha de Polder 2 years in succession. Pasha de Polder out with the washing pretty much last year. Prior to that, he finished second to yeah, you might say that. Yeah, I think On the Fringe will reverse form, and I think even though you might look at it and say, how can he be valued at that price? I think he probably is, because think of his whole body of work rather than what he just did at Cheltenham.
Okay, so that's leg 3 of the JP treble then, On the Fringe.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Righto, so straight on to the Red Rum handicap chase, and there's plenty of Cheltenham form to work with here. Double W's a real good one to pronounce. That one is the favourite at the moment. Is he the one to go with, or is it worth taking him?
I think he's got a really good chance, because he just didn't stay the other day, and the Close Brothers loomed up looking a real danger, didn't get home. Coming back to 2 miles is a good thing, but you could say the same about Bundoran, who's twice the price. Paddy Power going 4 places on this race, which is a real boon, as we're saying. Bundoran's the pick for me. I think he's a progressive horse who shapes like so many Tom Georges that less tested conditions will suit him. Doesn't look like a mudlark, and if it wasn't for the mistake 2 out, which we discussed with Top Notch, same for Bundoran, instead of being 6th in the Close Brothers, he might have been 2nd or 3rd. I mean, it was a pretty bad mistake, so I'm happy to give him another chance. Progressive youngster, twice the price of another progressive youngster in Double W's, and I think the race will go well for him. The likes of Gino Trail will definitely force it. Rock on Rocky, Foxtail Hill, they've all got one way of going. You can see him tracking the pace, and I really struggle to see him out of the 4.
Interesting.
Struggle to see him out of the 3 actually, but 4 with Paddy's an extra bonus.
So 12 to 1's a good, and each way.
Absolutely.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
If you were going to go with it, go each way. Yeah. Okay, so Bundoran there, and one more to go, and It's a mare's bumper.
Yeah, pressure on me because I handicapped these for Timeform, so
no,
I really should be getting this right.
I'll pass it over there.
Well, Petticoat Tails, and we must declare an interest because Shearling is owned by family members of Jeff Greetham, our director. The horse has done splendidly well for him. Ex-Khalid Abdullah, I think, won 3 from 4 and beaten by a very narrow margin when trying to maintain the unbeaten record on the third outing. This is a step in grade though, and it's a different tempo of race. I mean, it might suit her because she's a really strong travelling flatbred sort, but I'm going to go with Petticoat Tails. There's a belief, isn't there, that Aintree's always a real speed test, but I can see with Martello Park in the race that this will be a good test of stamina, which is what Petticoat Tails wants. She's a really well-bred mare. She's taken really well to bumpers, if you can take well to bumpers, but she's 2 from 3 anyway, and the second was behind Cap Soleil, who's a really good youngster herself. Cheek pieces look a good angle for me here because she races a bit lazy behind the bridle, as they say, and I think the cheek pieces could just sharpen her up. If that works with the headgear, nothing will see the race out better than her. I just hope Martello Park overdoes it a bit like she did at Sandown, could set it up for Petticoat Tails, who will find plenty. Hope Shearling runs well for bias reasons for a colleague, but Petticoat Tails would be the pick.
Okay, so that's the Aintree card for today, and while I've got you, I can't help but ask you about the Grand National on Saturday. While I've got you, can you, I know I'm throwing this on you very much so, but can you just throw three or four darts at it, you know, one that's a proper contender, one each way, and one maybe at a huge price that might run into the front?
I don't know if I can answer the last name, but certainly I like Uccello Conti from afar. Now I must confess I'm not in the race in great depth yet, but Uccello Conti ran as good a trial as Verlion Rouge did 12 months ago, and I think the horse will stay, whereas I'm still not convinced about Verlion Rouge. So after the second in the Thyeste, he's clearly kept for this. Uccello Conti will be my main bet, I think. I would certainly have some interest in more of that. Follow him over a cliff, admittedly. I think he'll be suited by the trip. Jumping to concern, of course it is, but he was only placed behind Saphir de Reux, and I've heard people saying like Saphir de Reux is a really good bet. I don't think he'll jump round. Maybe more of that won't. So I'd consider him, but Uccello Conti I think has a very compelling case to be made for him. Certainly with the experience of last year, I don't think that'll be lost on him. And he'd just about be my pick at this stage. But as I say, I've not been through every runner so far, and I endeavour to do that on Friday evening. Before the inevitable text the following day, what you're backing. And if they don't win, then you're the worst person in the world. If they do, nobody says well done.
I don't even know as much, and they're like, "Oh, Nick, you work for Timeform, therefore you must have the Grand National win." Like, oh wow!
And they always, if you give them the win of the previous year, they never remember it when you tip them some duds the following year.
No,
brutal people.
All right, well, best of luck with that on
Thank
Friday
you,
night,
Nick.
and cheers again.
Cheers, pleasure.
Smashing. Oh, not the. That's a terrible way.